Hello and, hello and welcome to the Banter Blitz show. I think the first show of a 12-hour Bantathon. I think I'm right about that, right? So, 12-hour show. Yeah, it's Bantathon. Okay, let's get started. Here we go. Go for some games. This is this view that always irritates me. How do I actually see the challenges here? I know there are some, but here are the challenges. So, playing Neuweiser. Let's start with Neuweiser. Does that look fine? I think it does. And always give me feedback on my sound and feature quality. That would be good to have. My microphone had some weird things. Sound is awful. Really, sound is awful. Awful is not good. So why is it awful? Let me check. Is there something wrong there? Let me check. Oh, interesting. Okay, I think I know what's going on here.
Yeah, I think now it's better, right? Yeah, sorry. For some reason, it had completely, let's say, forgotten that I have a real microphone, and it instead has used the internal microphone, which makes no sense at all. Okay, so let's play. Sorry, guys. I think this sometimes happens somehow when the microphone was detached from the USB and then it somehow forgets that it's actually there. It's probably something that I should check beforehand, that it actually uses the real microphone and not the internal one. So, yeah, greetings to the chat on YouTube and Twitch. In particular, Twitch is pretty busy these days. Lots of traffic on Twitch. So, one thing that I wondered actually is how many of you in the audience are actually rather new to chess, because there are so many new people coming to chess these days, and this also made me wonder about the concept of the Banter shows, how much I should actually talk about the game, how much should I actually talk about other things like questions. You're of course welcome to send me questions and I'm happy to answer them. But I wondered if I should probably, compare to earlier shows, should maybe talk more about some things that actually happen on the board. So I'm very happy to receive feedback on that. Because if I answer questions, and again, I'm happy to do that, this is often very specialized, let's say, yeah, about certain books or things like that. And I can also talk more about the games if you like that. So in this particular game, I just played the move knight e5, centralizing my knight. Knights are good in the center. And I'm trying to, if possible, take on c6 and trying to give him a double pawn, yeah, like a somewhat weakish pawn structure, as we call it. So I'm now attacked here with my bishop here, and I think I should probably take his knight, make it easy for me. He has to recapture, and now I have an interesting choice. I can try to take on d5. I'm 2 times on that pawn. But I can also take on c6 and give him this mentioned weak pawn structure. I think I'll do that. And now he has those pawns, c7, c6, d5, and they're all a little bit weakish because they don't really have a reliable protection. So e3 now is covering d4, making my whole structure very sound. So if you look at all my pawns, they're essentially all protected. The d4 pawn is protected and so on. And now I'm going to play the knight to a4. They say knights on the rim are dim. But this knight is not so dim because it actually has a good target square on c5. Yes, this is a Bantathon, so 12 hours, and a couple of new faces on Chess24 active today. For example, Jan Christof Duda, it's a very cool addition to the streams. Very strong player, very interesting player from Poland. Now, queen d6 is covering the weakish c6 pawn. I would like to have more pressure on that pawn. An interesting question. I wonder if I should play a3 b4. I think a3 makes a bit of sense. So that covers the b4 square, this one where my mouse is currently hovering. And he cannot play rook b4, queen b4 and be active there. I can also maybe play b4, my own pawn up to b4, to be very sure that he never moves any of the pawns. So a problem for black is he's sitting on those weaknesses, the pawns, c6 and c7. Those two are just targets, and it's not so clear. Yeah, this is an interesting try. It's not so clear what black's play is, and he tries to be active on the king side to generate something active, yeah, something to pose me problems. I think this is not a bad idea at all. Now, how do we actually attack something here? Maybe queen d2 is an idea. For queen c3, pile up on the pawn. I'm only attacking it once. At the moment, he's defending it once, the c6 pawn here. And I have to get more firepower, so to say. Queen c2 wasn't possible because the bishop is on that square. Otherwise, that would have been a fairly natural square for the queen. Now, I can also play rook c3 and double. That is also quite a good idea, I think. Even better than the queen. Huh? So, we now see an upside of the move a3. He cannot play rook b4, queen b4 and be annoying against my knight on a4. Now he could only attack it with rook a5, but that's not really doing much. Okay, so what's going on? I just play here, right? Rook fc1, and now what about the c6 pawn? Maybe he has to play bishop d7 back, so play a rather passive move. No, he does not do that. He just gives up the pawn, right? So I'm taking it with the rook. I take it with the knight. b2 would be hanging as well, but this way I just win this pawn. So now I can take with the knight or with the rook. If I take with the rook, there's no reason not to take it with the rook. That keeps the pressure on, yeah, against d5 and so on. Yeah, it looks good. I can play queen a6 to attack my knight, but it's not a big deal. I have rook a5, queen a5, moves like that. The main issue here is really the structure, the pawn structure. I have the much better pawn structure because I don't have a single weakness. Every single pawn is protected or easily protectable, let's say, if necessary. And he has a7, c7 weak, d5 is under fire, and this is the thing. He has no real compensation for these structural deficits. This is a move that I should be careful now, because he could move the queen and attack my rook. Yeah, that is potentially annoying. So maybe like queen d7 and then my rook would hang. I can play this move though. Queen c2 that attacks c7. Rook c6. Rook c6 is possible. Knight c3 is also an idea, just to attack the d5 pawn. It's not bad, right? It's not bad. just attacking d5. And c6, I will move the knight again and continue to put pressure. Yeah, here I can take d5. Bishop takes c5, there's knight f6. Yeah, this is knight f6 check for the queen. So he gives me the queen here, but the position was, I think, lost anyway. He's got it's 2 pawns down and has no compensation for that. So, thanks for the game, Neureiser. Okay, okay. Yeah. Oh, why not? Come on, it's fun. Playing Dr. Nykterstein 7. So I wonder how many Dr. Nyktersteins are on chess sites now, which is Magnus's handle on eChess, I think. So when knight f3, and we get some English ready opening. Yeah, g3 is possible, e3, all interesting and good moves. So black has played c65, put a foothold in the center, and now the pawn on c4 is attacked. And black can take that. I'm offering this pawn basically as a gambit, as a pawn sacrifice, hoping to exploit that the d5 pawn then is not really, after taking on c4, it's not really covering the center all that much. Yeah, this is a possible line. I go knight e5 here and put the knight in the center. The idea is to attack the bishop and possibly take it. So he withdraws. So I'll take on d5. And I can take with both. Pawn takes on knight takes, so I go knight c3. Any chance for a Jobava London system? Yeah, you can do opening requests within reason. I won't play complete rubbish, but the Jobava London I can play. The problem is that I always promise to play the requested openings and then I forget about it. So if I forget about it, please remind me. I absolutely don't mind doing it. It's just like when you start the game, you're kind of in your own routine mode, let's say, and like, okay, and then I wanted to do that and forgot about it. So interesting here. So he goes back to f6. What's the deal? Like e4. E4 is going to play e5, I guess. That's his idea anyway. Interesting. E5. He manages to play e5. That's not really that great. Why didn't I go here? Why didn't I go to c4? That would have been probably more intelligent. Anyway, let's think about this for a little bit. Anyway, it's difficult to not play e4, really. He will play e5. That's the idea, I think. I'm threatening to play my pawn to e5 to win a piece, so he had there was some need for a concrete approach. I don't like this all that much. Preparing to play g4 to get rid of this pin. The pin here, the bishop on the queen. It's pretty annoying. Okay, so do I go g4? No, I guess I do. I mean, how can I play without that? It seems difficult. Now, I could take e5. I wonder if this is good. It's not so clear. So, how do we go about this? He's putting some pressure, like taking here on c3 and taking on e4. Okay, I have a very concrete idea. Going to trade the queens. Interesting. This is a big decision. Huh, okay. I would think that rook a takes d8 is kind of normal. You never know. Maybe he had to fetch his coffee. Yeah. So after he finally takes with this, I'm going to play the move I intended. It looks a bit ugly, f3, but this is a way to very reliably cover the pawn on e4. And I'd like to play f4 soonish. Maybe I could have played rook e1 actually to prepare the immediate f4. It could have been better actually. Anyway, it's not a big deal, I hope. Rook d3 is an idea now for him. Activate the rook. And yeah, attack on c3. Yeah, I don't like what I did here. It wasn't really good. Not really good. I mean, one thing is important. I might have some disharmony in my position, but he has a bishop on g6 and a knight on f6. And this is terrible. Yeah? Those pieces are completely off, in particular the bishop. Immediately f4 didn't work because he can take on c3 and take on e4. So once I play f4, my e4 pawn becomes pretty weakish. And I have to prepare that. But rook e1 would have been decent, maybe, instead, to play f4. So he checks me. Going to... yeah, this will be met with another check. So king h1. Yeah, f4 is maybe f6. I'd like to first get rid of the bishop. On d4, I mean. So if I go f4, he goes f6. Yeah, come on. Let's just put this on a good square and potentially take on g6. Yes, this is a Banter-thon. So 12 hours. No, I've never been to Liechtenstein or Luxembourg. In particular with Luxembourg, it's a little bit, that's not so clear. I mean, it's not so far away from me actually, but it never happened. I actually think here Dr. Nykterstein 7 is playing a good game. He's just a little bit slow. Yeah, I've been to Belgium for, I mean, lots of times, but never through Luxembourg, because we usually, from the place where I live, we have this pretty natural route via Aachen. Yeah, when you cross the border, just a lot north, let's say, compared to Luxembourg. So the thing is, this position is kind of nothing special, but he has spent far too much time, and I will win this on time. It's a non-increment game, so he has no chance basically to not lose on time. Yeah, f4 coming. Yeah, this is the thing. If you have non-increment, you have to play quicker. I don't know. Maybe he had some technical problems. He had some moves where he spent like 30 seconds that were not particularly difficult, and that is a big issue in the long run. At the end, I had 1 minute left and he had nothing. Thanks for the game, Dr. Nykterstein. Now, Mert Divrikli, there are a couple of new guys, so let's play the new accounts from Turkey. Yeah, Turkey, they have noon, I think, right now. Yeah, I think plus 2 hours from here. Not completely sure. I think it's plus 2 hours. I'll play something else, the classical Sicilian. No, AP played well, absolutely. In the game before, Dr. Nykterstein played really well. I didn't really show anything in that game. I just like kept my position, let's say, solid, but I was never better or anything like that. He just spent far too much time. Oh, that's interesting. Here, Mert is giving me the bishop pair pretty much for no particular reason. So what is he up to? He probably wants to just cover the knight so that I'm not taking on c3. I'm giving him a doubled pawn. That wasn't an idea though. I will never basically take on c3 unless I'm winning material. The bishop is so strong on f6 that you never really want to give it for a knight. So interesting. So Queen a5 is a move that kind of looks very natural because you have some combined pressure against b2 and c3. But if I play Queen a5, he might play queen takes d6. There are some fancy ideas. Like I can take on b2 then. Like Queen a5, Queen d6, Rook takes b2, but you know, you can just go d5 and I'm just in a fantastic shape. I have the two bishops in particular. Okay, so yeah, this is more logical maybe. I have the two bishops in particular. f6 one is super strong, going on that long diagonal, and it's not clear what white wants to do here. And I have those natural moves: Queen a5, play the bishop, Rook fc8, something like that. I put pressure on b2, c2, and so on. Okay, now the knight is now not protected anymore by a pawn. So this is a tempo, as we say. Yeah, Queen a5, you're right. I mean, there's a remark in the Twitch chat that Queen a5 maybe was working. I can maybe show that after the game. Like here, the move Queen a5 was maybe possible. But it's one thing that I always say, if people ask me how to improve in blitz chess, not that I'm a perfect blitz player, but still, what I'm now saying is something that I also often do wrong. But you should often go for solutions that are relatively simple to handle. Yeah, something, if you have a good move that you can play in 5 seconds, this is often better than playing a brilliant move that takes you 40 seconds. So this is generally a good blitz chess advice. So now, I can just take and be better. It would be one of those simpler moves. But I wonder if this is best though. Yeah, probably it is, huh? Let's take. And now I could take a4 and kill off his pawn structure, but it's a little bit lame to do that. It's a little bit lame. But I need rook to c8 somehow. And he might play pawn to c4. Okay. Oh, he has knight c5. This is something that I probably should have thought about. Knight c5. I mean, it's not terrible or anything, but I didn't think about it. I don't know. There are a couple of good things that I can do. Okay, come on. Let's play quicker. Trade this off. Bishop b4 wasn't good. I don't know. Bishop b4? I don't think that this was possible. Bishop b4. Maybe. Okay, I saw this one here and thought this is fairly good. And I think it is. It's just, it was difficult to say what the best one was. This way I'm keeping pressure on the queen side. I had to give up my bishop pair, but still. Yeah, it's a good one. Trying to bait people into a bad move. If they listen to the stream here and play. Yeah, I don't think this is a very good thing to do, but it could work. So, a question: what is the worst opening that has a formally recognized name? I saw a stream about the Jerome Gambit. Okay, I don't know what could that be. I think if you look at like first moves, we're probably talking about the Grope with g4. I think this is probably the worst first move that you can play. I think that h4, for example, is better. I mean, we're talking about not good, but still better probably than h4. So that was stupid. I need to play h5 first. Okay, so take and h5. So at the end of the day, I got a much better rook ending. It probably should be winning, but rook endings always have some sort of hope for the defender. So this one. I could have taken on g4 for the king and pawn ending, but he cannot really prevent it anyway. So let's do this. The Halloween Gambit, yeah, that is also not particularly good. But it's not so easy, actually. I mean, this is an opening that I would think that in the context of a blitz game, for example, can be played for sure. So d4. Yeah, he will take it, and here any recapture wins. This is giving me the so-called opposition. So with the pawn promoting and winning easily. Okay, he continues to fight. Yeah, thanks for the game, Mert. So, let me see if there are any other new challenges that I've never played before. Chimmy I never played before, so I'm happy to do this. And I'm going to go e4, mixing it up a little bit. I wanted to... You see, there was a question, a request for the Jobava opening, and I forget about that. So... I'm sorry, I don't do that on purpose. I just like when there's a new game, I play a move and then I wanted to do something else. So let's play the Ruy Lopez and see what Chimmy is doing. A6, knight f6 more. Okay, this is also possible. Okay, now, is there anything... This is not the most common move order. I wonder if there's a way to exploit what he did. It's a little bit weird, the move order. Maybe d4, maybe d4. Yes, there's a question by STE Gamma. Yeah, that was more or less the strategy, yes, in the game before. Winning with the center pawns after the king side was traded in the endgame. So I try to exploit his move order here with d4. Yeah, knight g5, but then he has d5. Pawn takes d5, knight to d4. And I couldn't quite work out if that is good. Sometimes this works for black even, so I was a bit unsure. Yeah. I thought this could be interesting. Play this here in gambit style. If he takes it, I have queen d5. Yeah, we can look at this a little bit after the game, this knight g5. It's a very typical motif in the open games. Now, importantly, if he takes c3, I play queen d5 for a double attack. Mate on f7, and the knight is hanging. Pretty interesting. Hello to the drunken lawyer. So, I'm going to take here. I'm not sure that I'm really playing this well, honestly. Maybe can take with the bishop. I have bishop d5 though. So bishop takes, bishop d5 for a double attack. Very interesting tactics here. There's a question. How long did it take for me to get my IM title? Too long. Too long. Let me think about this for a moment. I'm going to castle. I made my first international master norms in 1997 when I was 23 years old, and the final one I made in 2011. So there was a 14-year gap between those. Mostly because I didn't play that much, and mostly also because I didn't play well when it counted. So I missed many norms by half a point, by all kinds of incompetence, and in some cases bad luck. So it took me really long time. Okay, now so is covering this. I'm going to take here. The main issue is this is a 3-minute game, and he will not manage to finish this in a normal chess way. We just lose on time. We had this before. Going back, okay. Go for knight e4. It's a little bit, it's a bit of lesser importance now for the pure sporting value, because he will never make the time. Just not happening. Yeah, thanks for the game, Shimmy. You're probably okay in the final position here. So let's discuss this for a moment. It's quite interesting. So we were here, and I was thinking about knight g5, of course. I'm attacking f7 here. And the only way for him to really handle this is to play d5. So d5, I'm taking. And now the first question is, can he maybe take on d5? Maybe, possible. But there are a couple of tactics now that could be pretty good for white. For example, there's knight takes f7 as a possible idea. So there is this sequence, checking him and attacking the knight 2 times when he has to play king e6. And these complications are often very good for white, but it's not so easy. Yeah. However, there could be queen f3 as well, which is threatening checkmate on f7 here. Queen takes f7, checkmate. And d5 is hanging a lot. So this looks pretty good. It's very comparable to the fried liver attack, as somebody says, is a comparable opening. But what I was thinking is this move. I will maybe take it, I guess. And then knight d4. And this is what I was worried about. Now I don't attack f7 anymore. And he might take b3 and take d5. And then, I don't know. It doesn't look so good. This was what I was thinking. And then I came up with d4, takes, and e5. That was my idea. And one tactic I wanted to show is after c3, if he now takes it, I would have queen d5 with a nice double attack. Queen f7 mate, here on f7 mate, and the knight is attacked on e4. That was easily. So he went d5. This is, I guess, the best defense. I took it. And now another interesting moment. The more natural way to now take the pawn would be bishop takes. But then I have bishop to d5 again for a double attack. The knight is hanging with a check and the knight on e4 is hanging. So here I'm probably winning a piece. So very interesting tactics in the opening. He should spend a bit of time, but you cannot lose on time after 16 move. Then it's difficult. So try to be quicker. I know it's difficult if you are unsure about your decisions, but if you play a 3-minute game, it cannot be that you lose on time after 16 moves. So let me check. I would like to have 1 or 2 high-rated games. Play Violine 18. I think it's Austrian, right? So Violine is right, not violin. So play the Bogo. I have a hard time to read some of the names in the Twitch chat because my software attaches really dark colors and I can hardly read that. So the DNA, this is coffee. I'm drinking coffee at the moment. I think this is a Peruvian, is that the right word, from Peru. Really good coffee. Yeah, there was a question and I'm going to answer that. Thoughts on Hikaru beating Magnus. Very interesting match, right? This is, as I'm not sure who wrote that yesterday on Twitch, but this is the El Clasico of modern rapid chess. Yeah, I would really those two guys playing. They could do that. I mean, I don't know. Probably the sensation, let's say, would wear off if they would do it too often. But I could watch them play all the time. Yeah, it's just like it's extremely well played what they do. They just are really good players. They have some kind of not clashing styles. Hikaru is not like a wild attacker anymore. He's a very versatile player, but they have a little bit of a personal rivalry going on. So it's really, it has everything. I was not able to watch the whole match. It was like the 3 days. So I only saw the games of the first 2 days after they were actually being played. So what I can say is that yesterday, which I watched like every minute of it, I think Hikaru was a very deserved winner in my mind. It was he kept his cool in the final game. I think in the Armageddon, in my mind, the black has a pretty substantial advantage, but it was a deserved advantage because he won the group stage. So this is something that should not be forgotten. They had a group stage that Hikaru won and Magnus finished 5th, which is a huge difference. So I think this is perfectly right that he has an advantage there. Yeah, Magnus was not, yeah, I mean, we're kind of accustomed that he plays like in some cases out of this world well, and that was not the case yesterday. Yeah, that's true. So I have to think about this game a little bit. Queen, pawn to a5. Not quite sure how I'm organizing here. I think with hindsight, and hindsight is, as they say, 2020. Yeah, you only know better once you see the results. Let's say that the match was probably mostly lost for Magnus. I mean, you can say he was winning, of course, in the Armageddon game. I mean, before he blundered the rook, he had a completely winning position, but it was not simple. Yeah, it was never easy. But there are many chances for him to win yesterday, of course. But if you look at this, I think the key game that got Hikaru back into the match was, of course, the very first game on the second day when Magnus played this a really amazing concept with the piece sacrifice on g4 and then that all-out attack. And he was winning. And if Magnus wins game 1 on the second day, that's going to be that it could be a whitewash even, yeah, like 6-0. You don't know, but this was a moment where the match was certainly it was very critical for the whole thing, but it didn't happen. Hikaru won that game even, and then it got a real match, and you have to be there when there's the chance, and he's really good at exploiting this. Hikaru is clearly one of the best players in the world in these quick time controls. Also online, I think, is kind of helping him a little bit. Not that Magnus is bad online, but it's like it's his home turf in a way. Yeah? That those quick games online. Really good job by Hikaru. I think it was a close match, and it's very a good maybe also for the overall situation of this tournament series, right? That there's actually some intrigue. Magnus winning everything is not very very exciting maybe. I honestly don't really care that much. I mean, the best player should win. And if Magnus plays the best, I don't mind if he wins all of them, or if any other player does do the same. So here I'm trying to win the a6 pawn, and I think I'll do that. I mean, white should be okay. Maybe knight g5, knight e4, knight g5 coming. I don't see how he keeps the pawn. This is important. I have to. So let's stop knight g5. I think this kind of what is discussed with this word is really new. This elitism. Yeah. I think it's. I don't think that chess is particularly different to other communities or other areas. There's always this kind of yeah, I don't know how to describe that. This kind of idea that some things have to be in a certain way and they cannot be different and so on. And it's really weird. And you have this kind of looking down on other things or other concepts also in other areas. This is and this has kind of, it goes through lots of other areas. For example, you can take simple things like like coffee drinking. It's a very basic thing. Like not everybody, but kind of everybody drinks coffee. Yeah, and there are people who think, you know, the only real way to drink coffee is you have to do you have to drink filtered coffee. You have to it has to be it has to be like this high-end stuff, yeah, and it cannot be whatever, yeah. And this makes no sense. Everybody has their own right of doing things as they want to do it, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing it in a simpler way or in a different way. What is wrong about that? So okay, can I not? He's threatening knight f6, or she for that matter. I have two. I'm a queen up, yeah. Check. I don't see a way to win by mate. This is crazy. Okay. So I have to do this weird move and give back the queen. It's odd, yeah, but I think I had to do that. Now I just have to win with being a piece up. Pre-move. Yeah, and the same kind of elitism, and this is even worse than if you look at coffee is here. This one, which watches the worst, the worst. Yeah, you have people who think that every watch that is not like 5,000 euro up is crap, which is nonsense. And the same thing, you have people that are new to things and they might not know better. What is wrong about it? So I might not know better is the wrong way to say it. They just have they are less experienced and nothing is wrong about it. Yeah, let's say. So thanks for the game Violine, by the way. What I think is in general chess websites, chess streams, that those things, they have to think about their audience, I think, a little bit. That is important because you don't have to assume that every single person who watches is a chess expert. Some people might not know certain lingo, for example. If I say something like, I don't know, yeah, white has a queenside majority, which in fact I have, 4 pawns against 3. People might not know what that means, and I automatically assume that people know. And this is something that is important, I think, for the future, that a chess website, chess streams, think about who's watching this. And it's not wrong to have a very high level type of commentary, because there's an audience for that as well. But you should also offer something that people with less experience can also understand and benefit from. There's nothing wrong about that. The absolute majority of chess players are in comparison, let's say, to what the chess streams do, are much too low rated to understand what's going on. And I mean, those people have a right to watch something reasonable as well that they can actually use. So it's important. So here I think I should be a little bit better. A little bit. The pawn on c5 looks like a good asset, something that I can use. maybe black should try to play e5 at some point to break against my d4 pawn, like knight to d7, bishop f6. Yeah, another thing that I also thought about, like I'm kind of naturally calling the squares, like knight d7. I mean, for me it's obvious that this is knight d7, but it doesn't have to be obvious for everyone. Okay, e5, I can take on d5, right? So I'm going to make sure that I'm not getting back rank mated. This is important. Can easily happen. Now withdraw that so that e5 is not coming with a tempo. Oh. No, that is giving me that, like, this blunders basically every single piece on the board. Like the bishop I can take with check, then I take the rook, and it's a family fork on queen and rook. Okay. Yeah, let's check him and rescue the knight, while at the same time taking everything. I'm close to a smothered mate, but you cannot play a smothered mate in the corner with the queen taking on g8. Yeah, black played perfectly well until he allowed that knight takes e7 shot. So, thanks for the game, Bartut08. So, okay, who is challenging me? Is there somebody new? Ahmed2000. Why not? And if I have white, maybe I can... I've got black. Okay. Let's play a Sicilian defense. Okay, a couple of interesting ideas that I can do. Bishop c5. I think I'm going to do that to attack the knight and potentially put this bishop on a good diagonal here on a7. It would have an interesting square looking at f2. No, a6 is not the Najdorf. This is a different line. a6 is, however, a very frequently seen move in the Najdorf. In the Sicilian, I'm sorry. Also in the Najdorf. Okay, now I'm going to play for a little trick. Knight g4. I'm threatening knight d4. Knight jumping into the center and deflecting his knight on f3 so that I can deliver queen h2 checkmate. So interesting. I'm threatening this move now, knight d4. And he has to do something about it. So h3, for example, yeah, this is lost now. Knight d4, and I'm winning. The queen is attacked, and now it's checkmate. That's a nice one. Yeah. And instructive. So let's have a look at this. Knight g4 is not, this is not just a trick. It's just a good move. It has a trick with knight d4, but it's not bad in any way. He cannot, let's say, refute it in a way. That sometimes tricks means that you're actually hoping for something, and if they don't fall into the trap, you're worse. But here you're not worse in any way, because there's nothing that white really can do to exploit this. But he has to answer this knight d4 idea. So one way to do that would be g3. This is blocking the diagonal, the queen to h2. And this means that knight d4 now doesn't work. He can take it and take my knight. So this is bad. But now I can just play something else. Yeah, I can play, for example, the g4 knight to e5 or whatever. I have a fairly normalish position. But he has to do it. He has no other way to really handle this. I don't think he has another move ready. Yeah? Like if he moves the rook, for example, the same thing would hit. In this case, it's queen h1 mate at the end. So sometimes you can answer this idea with the move knight to d5. This is interesting. Maybe this is the most interesting way to combat this. I know I can take it, but this is a check, and all of a sudden white has a dangerous counterattack, and the knight is attacked here. So I might have to go here, and then maybe bishop c3, rook e1. It's a mess. Yeah, so some interesting possibilities, but it's important to notice this idea of the knight attacking the pawn on h2 with mate, queen h2 mate, and the knight here, knight d4, possibly deflecting the f3 knight. So thanks for the game, Onural Perulo. Wow, that's a handful for me. Okay, now, who else is challenging me? Is there somebody else who's new? Tarmisen, yeah, why not? Let's play. So, okay, there was this Jobava London request. You're not 100% sure to get it, but I can try. Yeah, that's true. You should develop your pieces and not play for tricks. But this is not, I mean, I played something which is good, but it involves the trick. This is pretty good. If you can play something that is objectively a good strategy, a good approach, that is not refutable, and you have a little trick involved, this is often the best way to play, in particular in quicker time controls. So I couldn't get the Jobava London, but I managed to transpose into a French defense. Interesting. That is true. If he has to play this g3, then his king side, the white king side, is severely weakened. So let's see. Okay, h6. Yeah, I want this bishop. Okay. Interesting. Let's play b4 here. That is a bit unusual, but I think not bad, because the move c5 is a very important part of black's counterplay, and if I can stop that altogether, it can be pretty good. So let's see what he does. Maybe b6, pawn to b6, and then c5 to attack my center. The thing is, I have much more space, and you cannot sit with no space in chess forever. You have to fight it, yeah, and therefore I think that black should play b65, attacking my center and getting a little bit of space himself. Knight e2 is not the most obvious move, but I want to be ready to play the pawn to c3 at the right moment to support my center. Interesting, he wants to play a knight to c4. So this is indeed a drawback of my early b4 pawn, before push. So let me see. I would like to play f5. So let's go here. That was another idea of the knight e2 move, going to the king side, because you often want to determine on which side of the board, the king side, the right hand side here in my case, or the left hand side, the queen side, your play is. And often you can determine the side where you should play mostly on by checking where most of your pieces are or where you have more space. So here I have a pawn on e5 and a pawn on f4. So this shows that I have much more space on that side of the board. Yeah, I control squares like f5. I mean, here's a pawn on e6, but g5, h5. My pieces are much more active on that side of the board. And therefore it points that I should play there. And this way, getting more pieces to that side of the board makes a lot of sense. You can compare that to like basic war strategy. Yeah? If you think of those battles of old, like Napoleon on whatever, yeah, directing huge armies, you want to create parts of the board where you have much more forces, and then you can overpower the opponent. And this is probably happening here. So get the rook in with a tempo, and now we see that I'm attacking with everything. The bishop is on d3, pointing towards the king. The knight is ready to jump. Now the rook is coming, and a big problem is I also have pawn to f6. f6, and now the rook is joining as well. Yeah, the real nail in the coffin is the pawn on f6. So yeah, and now every sacrifice will win, but I will take with the rook. I think this is the quickest one. Pawn takes, queen takes. Now there's queen h7, checkmate. And you see this huge pawn chain is dividing the whole board into two. I could even play without the rook, the bishop. It's just over. Thanks for the game, Tarmism. So, FSG, I've played often. Hakan, yeah, you've got lots of challenges from Turkey. Interesting. Many new Turkish users on. I don't know. Many new challenges there from Turkey. Okay, knight f3. I wanted to can I take that back? I cannot, right? I wanted to try the Jubava London again. Yeah, I mean, I want to honor that request. Yeah, but maybe Hakan is not around. Yeah, he is around, so we get maybe a King's Indian, or is he playing? No. Could have played d5. So we have a King's Indian, as this opening is called. And maybe if he plays e5, which is the most common way to play. No, but I'll take 5 or 3 minutes. Okay, now, do you remember the pawn structure from the game before? There was a pawn on d4 and e5, directing that my play should be on the king side, on the right hand side of the board. This time it's the other way around. I have a pawn on d5 and I have more space on the queen side, potentially. Therefore, my play should be mostly on that side of the board. This is just a general guideline. It doesn't really apply to every single game that may happen, because chess is very concrete. They might have completely different ideas, or maybe play something that's actually bad and demands a certain very concrete reaction. But if you just look at general strategic terms, my play is on the queen side. For example, here queen c2, I had to cover the pawn. Now here, this is a no-brainer. For example, I'll play b4. I want to play on that side of the board. It's a tempo against the knight. You just play that move and I'm happy about it. So rook here. I also could have played maybe bishop a3 for c5. And now black is seeking his chances on this side of the board, on the king side. Now, an interesting moment, because I have more than one interesting way to play. I think I actually do that. I think maybe bishop a3 was the better move instead of rook b1. Like b4 was, as I said, a bit of a no-brainer, but the next move was not so easy. I probably should have thought about this a little bit more. Okay, he's attacking my e4 pawn. I'm going to cover it. I'd like to go, now come on, c5. It's no use in spending more time here. f3, I'm not sure. I can do this. Gain more space. Yeah, I'm playing on the queen side. And now he has to... he did not do that. Okay, c6. Now, the big question for black is, how are you ever going to develop your queen side? You probably are not. I actually have this one. It's a bit of a show-off move, but it's fun. If he takes it, I take with the pawn, and I'll win the rook. The rook cannot run away. And now, how is he covering the knight, actually? I'm attacking the knight on b8. That looks bad. That looks really bad. Okay, take it. You can take the rook now. That's a very nice transformation for white. So, go g4. Okay, I'm going to stop the pawns there. This position is probably objectively winning, but you still have to be a little bit alert, because black has this huge space advantage on the king side, and my king is a little bit boxed in. So I think a key point here is that he was just a bit too slow, and I will win on time. This is non-increment chess, so okay, so where do I want? Bishop, yeah? Yeah, bishop probably. And I win on time. That was a problem. Yeah, so this thing with the pawn chains, as I said, is kind of instructive. Yeah, there's like, once the pawn is here on d5, my play is on the queen side and black's is on the king side. This is often helping with assessing and evaluating plans if the position is not completely open. If the position is open and there are not that many pawns, it's often mostly about being good with activating pieces. And here you have to think about pawn pushes. And the pawn pushes often happen on the side of the board where you have more space. Okay, now, I've got so many challenges. Let me check. And it's irritating because there are a couple of non-premium challenges. So playing Snoop. I try to play this Jubaba London again. Not that I think it's so great, but now I want to play it. People don't play d5. Yeah, will we get another French? Yeah, probably we get. Yeah, e4 is good. Okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, but e5 should be good, huh? Push the knight around. Getting lots of space. Interesting. Okay, so how do we play this? I wonder if queen f3 is interesting. Of course, you can develop your minor pieces, but this has an interesting idea. I'm attacking his rook. And this is a tempo in a way. I prepare to castle queenside, and the queen would be nicely placed on g3 actually, because that would make his kingside development a little bit more problematic, like this one now, for example. I'm attacking the pawn on g7, and you don't want to play g6 really, because that makes your dark squares really weak. The kind of not Swiss watch formation, but Swiss watch, but the Swiss cheese formation, as I call it, g6, everything is weak. The dark squares, ouch, ouch. Okay, now let's play bishop g5 and see that he cannot even move this, cannot move the knight, and the bishop f6 would be pretty awkward. Oh, really? That's actually true. Okay, I can take the queen, but he takes on g3. Take the knight, he takes on d8. So it's just a trade. So let's move the queen. Yeah, that was I missed that. It's not really a problem, because the best move that he has now is bishop e7, just back, and then I trade the bishop, which is fine, but I didn't see that he actually has this possibility. Bishop d8 and bishop f6 was good, and there's the knight attacks my rook. I don't think that it was so great. Yeah, my queen was also hanging. We can have a look at this sequence like right right after the game. It was interesting. Maybe you're right. Yeah, it's interesting. We can have a look. That there was a remark in the chat, or a suggestion in the chat. I wasn't really looking at this so hard, the line that was suggested in the chat, because I thought that what I'm getting here is just like just excellent, really. Yeah, this is possible, but the resulting position is pretty good for me. So guess f4. He gets a ton of pawns though. that is definitely true. I'm reading the YouTube chat. I actually do. It's just that there are 3 chats at the same time, and I sometimes am a little bit late to reacting to every single chat. Now we cannot defend d7, I think. Queen c5. No. Okay. Queen d7 check, king f8. It's actually not particularly clear. You know what? I think I have to get the knight to f6. That's much more important. And no worries. I mean, I'm really reading the chat, but it's difficult to react to all of them. I didn't blunder the pawn. I just wanted to have knight f6. Yeah, this is not working, which was important. It's a check, and then I win the queen. So there should be a mate somewhere. Yeah, and she resigns. So let's have a quick look there, because I don't want to do a long analysis, but a little one makes sense. So he surprised me with knight f5. There was a very interesting suggestion in the chat, and that was to take the queen. He takes my queen. Now, I could take the knight when he takes my bishop, and then we have an equal material situation. This is not bad for me, but nothing special, I guess. More interesting was the suggestion in the chat after knight takes to play bishop to f6. Now, both rooks are hanging, and in the chat they said takes, and white should be much better, because my bishop has a very clear way to go out again to f6, and the knight on h1 doesn't have the same privilege. I have g3, bishop g2, for example, and it's trapped. This is absolutely right. I think that this should win for white. I didn't see that detail. I only looked at this and thought, okay, it's kind of, this is better for me anyway, so I didn't look so hard, let's say. I expected him to play something like this, like that, and h4, and this is still much better for white, but the line suggested was much better. Black can first take on e2, maybe. Where was that? Black can take here. Wow. Maybe. Maybe. This is certainly playable for black, at least. At least. Yeah, okay, I don't want to do this too long. I want to give more people the chance to play. That was interesting, very interesting game. So, is there anybody new? Mauro? Yeah, let's play Mauro. He had this suggestion in the chat. Yeah, thanks for the game. Snoop was an interesting game. So, a Sicilian. There was a Sveshnikov request. I will happily play that. It doesn't look like it. Still give the chance for d4 for a Sveshnikov. Here we go. This Sveshnikov. Yeah, for those who have not gotten a chance to play, I'm continuing right h4 here. That is a bit uncommon. I cannot take it because of queen h5. I should play quicker. Okay, now I'm back into my theory. So for those who have not had the chance to play, this show, the English language show, will be over in about 9 minutes. But then I have a roughly 90-minute show in German. So you might not, if you are not a German language speaker, to be able to understand what I'm talking about, but you can still play me. So you can pose a challenge or keep your challenge up and see if we can play in the German language show. Okay, guess bishop e6. Wow. A little bit irritated. This is also a thing. Difficult. It was very well played by Mauro. I'm not so happy with how I did this, to be honest. I mean, it's not like I'm in huge trouble, but it's a little bit better for white for sure. For sure. Yes, there is a tentative date for my knight f3 c4 chess course. This will be released very likely at mid-end August. It could be somewhat later, but not a lot. We're just talking about a week or two, something like that. I mean, given that everything proceeds like normal, yeah, somehow we live in somewhat uncertain days. So some things are tough to predict. So how do I play that? I really don't like that. To do this. One problem here is that I can never play rook c8. Yeah, I would absolutely like to do that. Yes, my course will transpose to some d4 main lines. In particular, against the King's Indian, I will play a main line. I'm blundering b5. Yeah, he's playing this really well. Very nicely played here by Mauro. I'm just getting crushed, basically. It takes a long time to complete such a course. I'm already working on the c4 knight f3 for quite a while, like on and off, mostly for conceptual work. You have to make some fairly basic decisions early on about things, like some concepts, let's say. And on those I've been working for a long time already. I haven't written a single line of text. That is the final step. Currently I'm mostly choosing variations and general ideas, like when will you rather... good move again. I have to jettison the a4 pawn. There's no way to do differently. How to get counterplay this one. And then g5 maybe. He wants to go queen c4 here. Stop that. He's too slow, though. Okay, now I'm looking at f2. So I could check here. I'll go e4. I can take e4 actually. Yeah, the problem is simply the time. He has outplayed me rather convincingly. So I can check. I think I'll do that first. I have a draw now with a check, but I can continue. Oh, I didn't see that, but he cannot take the bishop. It's queen h1 mate. That's lucky. I cannot win that. It's kind of sick. But this is a nice move. Queen g3 mate. Queen g3 mate threatened. And if he takes the bishop... Oh, okay. Oh, okay. As I said, I will win on time. That's really not a big question. I will not win on time because he challenged me with an increment. Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't aware of that. I'm wondering, why am I not winning this on time, for Christ's sake? He's been so slow, and this is this is funny. Ah, man. That actually will cost me the game, because I didn't pay any attention, because I thought I will win on time anyway. Okay. Maybe it's a draw, though. Could be. Yeah. So it's a draw. Yeah, it was silly. You know, I didn't look at the game at all, because I thought, man, I will win on time. What's the point? And then, oh, I'm not winning on time. And I only recognized that once I saw, he's actually gaining seconds on the clock. That was fun. Okay, I hope you... I have never changed the oil in my golf. No, that's a good question. I'm a complete car technology Luddite. I have no clue. Anyway, thanks for watching the English language show. I will continue with the German show in just a minute. Thanks for watching, and yeah, see you soon. Bye bye.